Okay, so you can see that there's one more task here that's saving to file, and some of you have done it. And for example, we did it, and I did not teach you that, right? So it'll be interesting. I'll just say, hey, just call file dots. But we'll see. So what we've learned so far is that we can use file.read. File.read does two things. File.open, and then you read from it, right? So technically, this file.read, it does two things. It's like this: file.open, and then you put the to-do.m, file name here, and then you do file.read. And of course, it's the thing with no argument, right? Imagine if you want to write it, you can do the same thing: file.open, and then you do file.write, and then you pass in what you want to write. Okay. Now, it's really just like English. So I'm gonna try it out just in the terminal here. Okay. So I'm gonna do like file, open a file, and then this may or may not work. I'm not sure yet. Yeah. Test.md. Let's call it md. Okay. File.open test.md, and then we'll say, okay, in this case, it doesn't. It will just crash if there's no file. So I guess. So you do need to do a little bit of an argument, and then I'll get back to that. Oh, it's in the to-do. Are we here? Oh, yeah, test.md here. So I just created this file. It's a three-step process, right? So you open the file, and the exception is that you do the write. W is the write flag. You say, hey, I open it, but it's okay for it to be empty. Okay, W is for write, and then you just write any string you want to it, and then you close it. What file.read does is that it also read and then it close. But we combine all of this into one. Remember? So maybe Ruby will make life easier for us and give us something simple, similar. So I am guessing, great, file.write. And then there is, maybe we'll just do test2.md, and then you now pass in a string. This string should go in to a file. So by the way, William, it may seem overwhelming with the, it is overwhelming with just the whole folder. So I hope that you just don't mind for now, only focus on, you still can ask questions. We're really okay with it. You're like, so what's that? What is this file thing? But a few of the concepts here, I believe that it's like self-contained enough. So you feel free to just ask it, while you're still catching up. Okay, so for example, even if you don't know how to write, a method yet, but you're like, okay, so it looks like in lecture we had something like opening from a file, just file.read file name, writing to a file. Oh, I need two arguments, file.write, and then this string should go to a file. So it will return a number. This is like a file descriptor, so you don't worry about it. But you see the file, the test2 file here. I click it, and this string should go into a file. Now, if you already know this, are you now able to save back to the file?
If I can do a loop, right?
If you, the user, now we have to decide when we want to save the file. There are two ways. If the user finished the loop by saying exit, goodbye, then you save. That sounds reasonable. Or if the user say save, then you save. If I want the program to be really simple, like for example in this app, basically instead of breaking, right? Instead of breaking, well, in addition to breaking, you just want to save it, right? So let's say to-do.save. For example, I just like, signify that saving is important here. Okay? So then I have to implement the save method. What is save method now? It has to convert all the items into a single string, then save that string to the file. So instead of to-do.display as a puts, right? You actually converting that to a string, and you join them with the new line character. You can save it. So I believe with that you can probably implement .save. If you display, check out the display function. Display is just basically printing the screen. So forget about this display table. It's a bit advanced, but let's say this display, this is displaying the screen, right? This is displaying all the list. Technically, do you see that each of this list, each of this item, this line, is something you could save back to the to-do.md? So you have an array of items. In an array of items, you can generate back to these strings, and then you can join them as different sentences, and then you save back to the string, to the file. That will be a lab exercise. I'll update in the lab exercise right after this. Cool. Thanks for asking that. Okay, so let's look at this application. Have you seen this before? Yeah, everyone's like nodding your head. Like, has anyone not seen this app in your life? Okay. Thanks for being brave. They only sold for what, $700 million? So Trello is a task management tool. It's like what we've been talking about is a to-do app. So this is task management system. It's a web application that lets you track your tasks, right? But sometimes you hear things like project management software. So project is a little bit more than task. So in the project you have more description of things, and so technically Trello is also a project management software. And so, but for our purpose, we're just using it as our to-do list demonstration. And we can try to build something that is similar to Trello. Okay? So, for example, I create a list. I call this list today. This whole page is called a board. So this is a test board. In a board, you can have many lists. But for our application, we just have one list. We don't care about the board. Alright? So let's try to map what we see on this to-do.md over. Alright? So this will be learn numbers, learn strings. Right? Let's edit them to make them look more. Learn variables, etc. But you can kind of see it, right? And of course, I can even paste the whole thing to it. Say if I just take these guys, let me delete the front part. If I copy here, paste here, and then I can create different tasks. So you see, I have the whole thing as all to-do items. You can see the relationship, right? It's sort of similar. And obviously, it would be nice if I'm able to mark it as done. This tool, though, the flow is different. You move from a list to another, so it looks more like this is what get done. And then you just say, I'm finished with learn string, I'm finished with this, and you just move to a different list. So that's just a different way to mark things as done. Okay? So after we learn some CSS and HTML this week, I'll ask you guys to draw the same thing as Trello there, and we can start adding some tasks to it. Okay. There may be a little modification where I'm just gonna add a checkbox inside. So technically, if you want to say learn variables and then you say it's done, for now you can just mark it like that. That's our basic app. But it's now on the web. And the cool thing about the web, you can just copy this URL and then share it to a friend, and they can work on the same thing as you do. The command line app, well, they can do that too. If they type gem install Oscar to do, if you publish it, and they can just start typing the tool and have it work as well. Okay, so the command line executable, there are a lot of command line executable. Ruby comes with a few as well, but this is executable. But imagine if you publish your app, and it's easy to do so, and then someone can type Oscar to do, or just gem install Oscar to do. After that is released, then you can type to do, and then it will start working as well. All right. So for example, in the past, there's another command line to do app that I installed, right? And then right now it doesn't show up, but that's the idea. Okay. So this is something to look forward to. We'll build something like that. Any question about this tool? No. This is how you add an item. Maybe when we build it, obviously this tool is a lot more advanced. You can add comments to your to-do, but maybe when we finish, then we can just add a delete button over here instead of an edit button. So then you can delete them, or you can mark them as done. But it will look like this. We'll try to keep it very similar. Okay.
Do you think it would be interesting for others to see? I have this board from like the last company that I worked with. It's like an actual developer